In the misty countryside of rural Ireland, a young couple, Mark and Sarah, embark on a road trip intended to be a peaceful escape. However, as they navigate the quiet winding roads, their car unexpectedly breaks down, leaving them stranded far from civilization with no cell service to call for help. The eerie silence of the desolate farmland amplifies their growing unease. Tensions escalate as Mark adopts a careless, dismissive attitude while Sarah remains cautious and anxious about their predicament. In search of assistance, they stumble upon a dilapidated farmhouse. Inside, they find an elderly man who is clearly in distress, exhibiting visible wounds and struggling to communicate. The dimly lit interior enhances the oppressive atmosphere, and it becomes apparent that something sinister has transpired. As the couple attempts to piece together the unfolding mystery, they uncover disturbing clues, symbols, strange writing, and unsettling tools that imply ancient malevolent forces at play. The elderly man's frantic gestures and shattered speech attempt to convey an urgent warning, yet he is unable to articulate the threat. As night approaches, the couple's efforts to secure help are thwarted and the true danger emerges, a shadowy creature that preys on anything that moves in the darkness. This entity is no ordinary beast. It is an ancient vampiric force that thrives in total darkness, extinguishing light and feeding on fear and isolation. The dynamics of survival become clear. As long as light exists, the creature holds no power. Conversely, when the light wanes, it attacks with terrifying speed. Consequently, light transforms into their sole means of protection. Every flashlight, candle, and electric source becomes a crucial lifeline. Mark suffers an injury early on which shifts the couple's relationship as Sarah takes on the role of protector. Her instincts sharpen as they confront increasingly terrifying challenges. As they attempt to escape the farmhouse, they find their paths blocked by the creature, which seems to relish tormenting them. Vanishing swiftly and reappearing from the shadows, it capitalizes on their fear of being consumed by darkness. The night becomes an unrelenting test of endurance for Sarah, who must continuously seek new sources of light while navigating a house that feels intentionally designed to trap them. With each flicker of a flame or spark of electricity, life and death hang in the balance, heightening the couple's struggle for survival against an entity that embodies their deepest fears. The oppressive atmosphere and relentless pursuit transform their seemingly idyllic getaway into a harrowing fight for survival amid ancient horrors. Sarah gradually unravels the sinister secret concealed within the farmhouse once inhabited by a man whose misguided actions unearthed an ancient evil lurking in the nearby bog. Historical documents and findings within the house suggest that the creature is a remnant of an age-old legend from the Irish countryside, its existence long forgotten. The numerous signs, ominous carvings, and desperate measures taken by the former occupants serve as warnings, all overlooked by Sarah and her companion Mark until it becomes tragically too late. As Sarah grapples with the terror, she must think outside the box, wielding everyday items like cell phones and car headlights in her struggle to stave off the encroaching darkness. Each room she navigates and every corridor she traverses transforms into a tense challenge as she races against time to keep the light alive. The creature grows increasingly bold, adapting to her desperate resourcefulness and closing in on her as her possibilities dwindle. Mark's health deteriorates throughout their ordeal, ultimately rendering him more a hindrance than a help. Sarah, however, remains unyielding in her quest for survival. Her evolution from a tentative traveler into a fierce survivor forms the emotional core of the narrative. With her cleverness and practicality on full display, she becomes more resolute, willing to resort to any means necessary to outsmart the creature pursuing them. As dawn approaches, her struggle intensifies. The farmhouse, now a claustrophobic prison, offers fewer safe havens with each passing moment. Sensing the impending conclusion of its hunt, the creature becomes more aggressive, driving Sarah to a final harrowing showdown. Summoning the last vestiges of her strength, she harnesses her environment to endure the night and confront the malevolence directly. In the end, light prevails. As the sun rises, the creature's hold weakens, allowing Sarah, bruised, battered, and traumatized, to emerge into the daylight as the sole survivor. The terror that loomed over her during the dark night dissipates with the shadows. However, the horror persists in her newfound understanding. Evil exists, it is ancient, and it lies in wait within the darkness. From the Dark serves as a minimalist horror narrative, relying less on elaborate mythologies or complex effects and instead tapping into primal human fears, darkness, isolation, and the unseen threat. The story derives its potency from simplicity, leveraging light and shadow as its key literary devices. The confined environment and minimal cast amplify the anxiety, transforming every creak and shadow into a source of dread. Sarah's transformation throughout the film is both subtle and profound. Initially positioned as a passenger in her life, reflecting both a literal and metaphorical journey, she ultimately emerges as the protagonist, a fierce survivor and the embodiment of the final girl trope. Her character arc is driven by the emotional growth that equips her to confront and overcome the horrors she encounters. The creature haunting their story remains shrouded in mystery, effectively elevating its terror. Instead of being fully revealed, hints of its presence are conveyed through shadows and brief glimpses, just claw's eyes or a nebulous form in the background. This being is characterized not by its appearance but by its menacing behavior, haunting the darkness, punishing curiosity, and extinguishing sources of light. This choice amplifies the dread, leaving the audience with a sense of pervasive danger. The film employs sound, or the deliberate absence of it, as a crucial method of instilling terror. The lack of a conventional musical score lets sounds of creaking, breathing, and hushed whispers permeate the experience, drawing the viewer tightly into Sarah's escalating fear. Every moment feels immediate and intimate as the tension escalates suffocatingly close. From the darkest choose intricate world building or expansive storytelling. Instead, it narrates a gripping atmospheric survival tale hinging on the simplicity of survival, the flickering of a match or the waning battery of a flashlight illuminating the impending horror. It emphasizes that sometimes horror derives its potency not from grand spectacles but from the darkness and the chilling awareness that an unseen menace lurks within. The story begins with a young couple, Sarah and Mark, taking a seemingly carefree road trip through the isolated Irish countryside. Their cheerful banter masks underlying tensions, especially in Mark's reckless insistence to take a shortcut along desolate backroads despite Sarah's misgivings. Their journey takes a dark turn when the car becomes stuck in mud, leaving them isolated and vulnerable miles away from any town. Mark's decision to leave Sarah in the car, compounded by her growing unease, heightens the sense of dread. In his search for help, Mark discovers an eerie derelict farmhouse. His attempt to reach out for assistance results in a chilling encounter with a wounded, terrified man whose burned skin suggests a nightmarish attack. The man's voiceless horror suggests a lurking threat. Disturbed yet compelled to help, Mark unknowingly invites something sinister back with him. As Sarah remains in the fading daylight waiting for Mark's return, her anxiety mounts. She becomes increasingly aware that something is amiss. The couple's reunion and subsequent investigation of the farmhouse pull them deeper into the unfolding terror, compelling them to seek answers amidst rising suspense. Years. The notes suggest that the homeowner had engaged in some form of dark ritual, inadvertently awakening this malevolent being. As Sarah pieces together the house's grim history, she realizes that they are entangled in a deadly game where knowledge is their only weapon against the lurking danger. With Mark's injuries worsening, Sarah knows they must act fast, drawing on her survival instincts. She scavenges through the remnants of the home, old furniture, broken glass, and remnants of the homeowner's former life to craft makeshift weapons imbued with light. Using her newfound knowledge about the creature's aversion to illumination, she sets up distractions, illuminating pathways with whatever she can find. Navigating the perilous corridors feels like a dance with death. Each creak of the floorboards sends adrenaline surging as they try to remain undetected by the creature that prowls with insatiable hunger. The fear of being consumed by the darkness propels them forward, yet every flickering candle illuminates the grim reality of their situation. The creature is intelligent, a predator outwitting its prey. As they explore deeper, Sarah's relentless pursuit of survival leads her to the attic, where she discovers a cache of items from the homeowner's darker days. Encased in cobwebbed corners are tools once used for summoning, along with symbolic artifacts designed for protection. Desperation fuels her imagination, and she begins to weave their safety into the very fabric of the house, constructing barriers of light to fend off the beast. Mark, though in pain, rallies in support of Sarah's plan, uniting their strengths despite his injuries. They become a duo carved by necessity and resilience, determined to conquer or be conquered. Their harrowing journey through the house becomes a race against time as the creature remains ever vigilant, stalking their every move. The atmosphere thickens with tension. Sarah's ingenuity and hope flicker like the fragile flames they assemble. They need to find a way to escape, light the way to freedom, and confront the creature before it surrounds them in darkness for good. In a heart-pounding climax, they finally uncover a hidden passageway that may lead them to safety. With renewed determination, they muster every ounce of strength to push back against the creature, using their fierce cunning and flickering lights as their final defense in a battle for their lives. If you enjoy watching this video, then subscribe to Angel Recaps for the latest movies explanation.